They said she slit her own throat after the third time someone mocked her reflection. But when a group of high school girls summoned her that night, chanting her name into the mirror, only 2 of them walked out of the bathroom. The third was found hours later, her eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a silent scream, her face slashed with something not human. The legend of Bloody Mary isn't just campfire folklore. Its earliest roots trace back to 19th century England, where women would stare into candlelit mirrors, hoping to glimpse their future husband's face, only to instead witness bloodied apparitions, shrieking skulls, or their own death. Over time, it morphed. From whispered nursery rhymes to full-blown urban legend, kids around the world dared each other to say her name 3 times in a dark bathroom. And while most walked away laughing, a disturbing pattern emerged. In 1994, a 13-year-old girl in Chicago suffered unexplained lacerations to her face after a slumber party dare. In Japan, a similar ritual sparked a string of teenage injuries. Psychologists called it mass hysteria. But in dozens of police reports, parents described shattered mirrors, inexplicable screaming, and one case where the fog on the glass spelled just one word: leave. But if Bloody Mary haunted your mirror, the next one might climb right into your car. On a foggy November night in 1978, a man named Harold Dupree picked up a hitchhiker just outside of Chicago. She was soaking wet, wearing a white dress, and said nothing, just pointed forward. When he pulled up to her supposed address, she vanished. The door never opened. The seatbelt was still buckled. Confused and shaken, Harold knocked on the house's door. An old woman answered, and upon hearing his description, she simply nodded. "That's my daughter," she said. "She died in a car crash, right at that intersection, 20 years ago." The vanishing hitchhiker legend is found in nearly every culture, but the most chilling accounts come from the U.S. Midwest. Stretching from Archer Avenue in Illinois to rural highways in Wisconsin, drivers have reported eerily similar events. Female hitchhikers appearing out of nowhere, silent, cold to the touch, and always asking to go home. In many of these reports, the passenger disappears without a trace. Some leave behind soaked footprints. Others leave the scent of roses or burning rubber. One 1991 case was even investigated by Illinois State Police after multiple drivers reported a woman in a white gown darting across the same highway curve, each time around 2:13 a.m. One trucker swerved to avoid her and ended up flipping his rig. His dashcam footage was reviewed. No woman was visible. But the footage did capture something else: an unexplained electrical interference, just as he screamed, and a chilling EVP whisper that sounded like, "You almost joined me." Skeptics call it hallucination, fatigue, trauma. But how do you explain the identical descriptions across decades? The same intersection, the same dress, the same face. 2 legends, one stares back from the mirror, the other waits for a ride home she never reaches. And the deeper you look into either, the more likely they are to look back. The first body surfaced without its eyes. The second had no tongue. And by the time the police found the third corpse in the lake, rumors had already begun. Something was hunting people beneath the water. And it wasn't human. Welcome to the legend of Helltown, Ohio, and the infamously cursed Lake Hope. In the 1970s, a mass evacuation swept through the small town of Boston Mills after the government claimed it needed the land for a national park expansion. Homes were boarded up, entire neighborhoods were left frozen in time, but locals whispered that it wasn't about conservation, it was containment. Over the years, dozens of urban explorers reported mutilated animals, screams echoing from the forest at night, and mysterious figures in hazmat suits patrolling the woods. But what terrified people most was Lake Hope. According to old local tales, a secret government experiment in the area had gone horribly wrong. Some said it was chemical testing, others believed it was something darker. By the early 1980s, a rash of drownings began. Survivors, those rare few, spoke of hands grabbing them from below, of something whispering to them just before they were pulled under. One man claimed the water turned thick, like syrup, as he tried to swim, and when he looked down, he saw his own face staring back from the depths. Nothing was ever confirmed, but divers sent into the lake in 1996 never released their findings. Their equipment was confiscated, and Lake Hope was permanently closed to the public that same year. No official reason was ever given. Hundreds of miles away in Huntsville, Alabama, a different legend watches from the shadows, this one on dry land. And it involves children's laughter that turns into screams. In the quiet Maple Hill Cemetery lies a bizarre anomaly, a children's playground built just beyond the graves. Locals call it Dead Children's Playground, and what happens there after dark is the stuff of nightmares. Surveillance footage from 2007 shows swings moving on their own, violently, despite windless nights. Visitors have reported hearing giggling, followed by desperate sobbing, and even glimpsing translucent figures darting between the equipment. Legend has it that during the 1940s, a series of child disappearances plagued the area. Some believe their bodies were hidden in the nearby limestone caves. Others think the children were buried hastily, without names, in unmarked graves. But almost everyone agrees, their spirits never left. One woman, visiting the site in 2011, claimed her phone froze as she tried to record. When it rebooted, her camera roll had one new photo, a pale, emaciated child standing inches behind her, eyes hollow, mouth agape. No one else was in the park. Despite efforts by the city to tear the playground down, it was mysteriously rebuilt, overnight, by an unknown group. No workers were ever identified, no permits were filed. Both Helltown and the playground are surrounded by questions no one wants to answer. What was being hidden beneath the surface? And what keeps coming back to play long after death? But we're just getting started, because next we travel to a lonely road and a cursed phone number, both tied to real deaths, and neither with any rational explanation. He was found with his skull crushed, no signs of an accident, no broken windshield, no tire marks. His last voicemail? 6 minutes of static, punctuated by a faint echoing voice that whispered, "Don't look back." This is the enduring terror of Clinton Road, a 10-mile stretch of desolate asphalt cutting through the forests of West Milford, New Jersey. It's considered one of the most haunted roads in America, and not just because of the stories. It's because of the bodies. Police have recovered more than one corpse in the area, and hikers routinely report seeing hooded figures watching from the trees. But the most persistent legend involves the ghost boy at the bridge. According to locals, if you toss a coin into the murky stream beneath the old bridge at midnight, it'll be thrown back by unseen hands. Some say the ghost belongs to a boy who drowned there decades ago. Others believe it's something else, pretending to be him. Multiple people have claimed their cars stalled on the road for no reason. Some report being followed by headlights that vanish into thin air. But the most chilling encounters are auditory. Dozens have described hearing their own voices, mimicked, repeated, distorted, coming from the woods. One woman who veered off the road after hearing her deceased brother call her name was found hours later wandering barefoot, eyes glazed, whispering, "He's not gone, he's in the trees." Still think it's all just myth? Then let's talk about a number, one that you're warned never to call. In Bulgaria, the phone number 0888-888-888 has become infamous, not because it's creepy, but because every person assigned to it, Taz, has died under mysterious circumstances. The first known owner was Vladimir Grashnov, a powerful CEO of Mobitel, who died of cancer at just 48. Then came Konstantin Dimitrov, a notorious mob boss, gunned down in the Netherlands shortly after receiving the number. His successor, Konstantin Dishliev, was assassinated outside a restaurant in Sofia. 3 high-profile deaths, all connected to one string of digits. Mobitel eventually suspended the number permanently. but not before rumors swirled that the number was cursed, or worse, monitored by something not of this world. Online forums began sharing tales of prank calls turning into threats, and of callers hearing strange sounds, whispers, distorted breathing, and in one case, the unmistakable voice of a deceased relative. One user claimed he called the number out of curiosity. He let it ring. It never connected, but he began receiving calls at 3 a.m. No voice, just silence. Then came the texts. "I see you. Try again." The number was eventually traced to an unregistered device bouncing off a tower located deep within an abandoned military base, one that no longer existed on maps. To this day, the number remains deactivated, but those who believe in numerology say it was doomed from the start. 3 sets of triple eights, a number often associated with cycles, eternity, and endings. 2 different stories. 1 road that knows your name. 1 number that might know your death date. And next, we descend even deeper into a tunnel that traps the souls of those who dare cross it, and a house so cursed entire families disappeared inside. He entered the tunnel at 2:17 a.m. His dashcam recorded 13 seconds of driving, then static. When he emerged on the other side, it was daylight. The date was wrong. He had lost 6 hours and part of his memory. Welcome to the Sensabaugh Tunnel in Kingsport, Tennessee, the place soaked in darkness and death. Locals refuse to drive through it at night. Some won't even say its name. The legend goes that Edward Sensabaugh, the tunnel's namesake, either murdered his family inside or tried to protect them during a home invasion gone wrong. The truth remains murky, but what followed is far worse. Visitors report hearing a baby crying, footsteps echoing through the stone walls, and the gut-wrenching sensation of being watched. Some cars stalled just beyond the entrance, refusing to start until they're pushed out. More disturbingly, several travelers claimed to lose time inside, minutes, hours, entire nights gone in a blink. In 2003, a group of paranormal investigators entered the tunnel live on radio. Their equipment began malfunctioning. One team member collapsed, mumbling incoherently. He would later be institutionalized. His drawings from the ward showed twisted faces bleeding from the eyes, and a tunnel that never ended. The town has tried to wall it up multiple times, but each time, someone tears it down again. If the Sensabaugh Tunnel takes your time, the next legend devours your very existence. In a quiet suburb of Tokyo, an abandoned home on the outskirts of the city has become infamous for one horrifying reason. Those who enter never come out. They call it the Kiyotaki House, and its legend is not just local. It's gone viral across Asia. It began with a real estate agent in 1993, tasked with inspecting the long vacant property. He never returned. His body was found a week later in the nearby forest, dazed, dehydrated, unable to explain where he'd been. The next visitor, a thrill-seeking YouTuber in 2007, filmed a tour of the house, but his video abruptly ends mid-sentence. Police found his camera in a hallway, but he was never seen again. Locals say the house was built over a forgotten burial site. Others believe it's a spiritual vortex, an entry point for something ancient and unspeakable. Some even say the rooms change, that once you step inside, the layout twists like a maze. No 2 visitors report the same floor plan. Some walk in circles, others find staircases that lead to nowhere. One teenager claimed to hear his mother's voice coming from the walls. He was alone, and the worst part? The house is still there, not demolished, not sealed, waiting. Urban explorers whisper about a strange presence, shadows that slither just out of frame, doors that slam on their own, and whispers in a language no one recognizes. But there's one constant. Once you enter, you must never look into the 3rd mirror upstairs. Legend says if you do, the house remembers you, and it will call you back, even years later. Some who escaped have returned in their sleep, sleepwalking miles to reach its front steps. Not all made it back. Two places. One steals your time, the other steals your soul. And what comes next will take something even more personal: your voice and your thoughts. Because the next stories involve a haunted radio broadcast and a TV show that predicted real deaths. It aired only once, 2:42 a.m., on a frequency that wasn't supposed to be active. No station claimed responsibility. Yet thousands heard it. A low, humming tone, followed by a voice, robotic, broken, whispering coordinates, names of missing persons, and one final line: "You are next." This is the legend of the ghost radio broadcast, a signal first picked up over the American Southwest in the fall of 1998. Amateur ham radio operators began reporting a strange loop: numbers, dates, sometimes distorted nursery rhymes. At first, they dismissed it as a prank, until a retired air traffic controller recognized one of the coordinates. It led to a section of desert where 2 weeks later, the decomposed remains of a missing hiker were found. Then came more voices, children screaming, static-laced laughter. And in one chilling case, the name of a woman who had gone missing that same night, her voice eerily echoing back over the transmission, begging for help. The FCC could never trace the origin, and those who tried met strange fates. One engineer from Albuquerque claimed to locate the source near an abandoned Cold War listening station. He set out to investigate. He never returned. His last voicemail to his brother was nearly unintelligible. Guttural sounds, then a distorted voice whispering, "It's not a signal, it's a door." To this day, the frequency occasionally crackles to life. No one knows when or why, but those who listen long enough say they begin to hear their own name whispered back to them. And while some signals are heard by accident, others are invited into our homes. In 2004, a Japanese TV show titled Kisaragi Station aired what was supposed to be a late-night horror special recounting the viral story of a girl named Hasumi who live posted her descent into a train station that didn't exist. Her texts, archived online, describe her train skipping normal stops and eventually halting in an unlit platform called Kisaragi. The name means February, but has no known location. She texted for hours, no GPS, no cell service. Strangers appeared, silent, unmoving. Her last message read, "Someone is here. They're smiling." She was never heard from again. The TV dramatization of her story became an instant cult hit. But then something strange happened. Viewers began to report unsettling coincidences. A man in Osaka received a train ticket in the mail, with Kisaragi stamped in red. Another woman claimed her subway train skipped her stop and took her to a dark tunnel she'd never seen before. Her watch stopped. Her phone glitched. She lost time. She refused to speak about it afterward, only writing one line: "The doors don't open unless it wants you to leave." But the most disturbing event came from a family in Kyoto. Their daughter, obsessed with the story, began drawing maps of train lines that didn't exist. One morning, she vanished on her way to school. Her backpack was found sitting on a bench at a disused station that had been closed for 40 years. The TV station denied responsibility. The episode was pulled from all archives, but pirated versions still exist, shared in forums with one warning: if you hear your name spoken during the credits, turn off your TV immediately. Two stories. One broadcast from nowhere. One show that may have opened a real portal. And now only two more legends remain. In our final act, we'll explore a forest where people are drawn to vanish, and a cabin that appears only to those who are never seen again. He left a note nailed to a tree that simply read, "I have answered the invitation." They found his shoes beside a moss-covered stone. No body, no trail, just the stillness of the trees and an unbearable silence that made search dogs whimper and flee. This is the chilling truth behind Japan's Aokigahara forest, often called the Sea of Trees, or more infamously, the Suicide Forest. But not all who enter intend to die. Nestled at the base of Mount Fuji, Aokigahara is dense, quiet, and unnaturally still. Compasses spin wildly, GPS fails. Cell reception vanishes within minutes. Over the decades, hundreds of people have disappeared there. Some left behind goodbye notes, others left nothing. But the local legends are darker than any suicide statistic. Some believe the forest is haunted by yurei, angry spirits drawn to those in despair. Others tell of a rhythmic knocking sound that leads hikers off trail, always deeper, never back. One survivor, a journalist attempting to document the area, claims she heard her own voice calling to her from the trees. Her camera later revealed a figure in the distance, blurred, pale, wearing her exact same clothes. Some stories speak of a woman in white, silently standing beside certain trees. No one ever sees her face. Those who try to approach vanish, and their tents, found days later, are always empty, zipped from the inside. But there's one legend that ties all the others together. A place whispered about in terrified tones across continents. A place that doesn't exist on any map. The Phantom Cabin. It doesn't have a set location. Some say it appears in the Rockies, others in the Ural Mountains. But every version shares the same core details. The cabin appears only to the lost, and once you see it, there is no going back. In 2013, a Czech hiker named Marek went missing in the Tatra Mountains. His last radio message described seeing a small wooden structure with smoke rising from its chimney, despite no signs of civilization for miles. Rescue teams found the remnants of a fire, but the trees surrounding it were completely untouched by heat. Not a single footprint led away. Then, in 2019, 2 German backpackers disappeared in Alaska. Their last Instagram post showed a rustic-looking cabin in the background, weathered, old, half-sunken into the trees. Geolocation placed them in a part of Denali National Park that hadn't been occupied in over 80 years. When rangers hiked to the spot, there was no cabin, but in the same frame where it had appeared, the trees had warped slightly inward, like something heavy had once stood there. What makes the legend even more horrifying is this. In several cultures, there are variations of the wandering hut, a mythological building that seeks out souls. In Russian folklore, it's Baba Yaga's walking house. In Nordic tales, it's a hunter's cabin that preys on the weak-minded. In all stories, it's sentient, and it waits. Those who enter report hearing voices they recognize, family, friends, even pets long gone. One man claimed the fireplace lit on its own and whispered secrets only he knew. He ran. He was lucky. He's also never been the same. Some believe the cabin is a gateway. Others think it's a living entity that feeds on despair. Whatever it is, its stories continue, and they all end the same way. No one ever sees the cabin twice. 12 legends, across countries, decades, and cultures. Some with patterns too precise to ignore, others too terrifying to believe. And yet all persist, still whispered, still feared, still waiting.